Most of us imagine a dying church as a place with dust on the pews and a handful of people sleeping through a dry sermon. But there's a far more dangerous reality. Imagine a packed house, bursting with energy, overflowing parking lots, and non-stop community service, all while secretly rotting from the inside out. That's the diagnostic paradox we're looking at today. A spiritual community can actively increase its visible good works, service, perseverance, and ministry activity, while simultaneously flatlining spiritually because of a tolerated internal disease. We naturally assume that if a ministry is doing more this year than last year, God must be pleased. But external metrics, like high attendance and busy calendars, do not equal internal purity, and they provide no safety from a divine performance review. This landscape shows the ancient stone arches of Thyatira. This was a real historical city that received an intense divine audit. If you were looking at their annual report back then, this church appeared to be thriving in every measurable way. Then Yahushua, the Son of God, steps in to deliver his review. Revelation 2:18-29 says, "To the angel of the church in Thyatira write, These are the words of the Son of God, whose eyes are like blazing fire, and whose feet are like burnished bronze. I know your deeds, your love and faith, your service and perseverance, and that you are now doing more than you did at first. Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. I have given her time to repent of her immorality, but she is unwilling. So I will cast her on a bed of suffering, and I will make those who commit adultery with her suffer intensely unless they repent of her ways. I will strike her children dead. Then all the churches will know that I am he who searches hearts and minds, and I will repay each of you according to your deeds. Now I say to the rest of you in Thyatira, to you who do not hold to her teaching and have not learned Satan's so-called deep secrets, I will not impose any other burden on you except to hold on to what you have until I come. To the one who is victorious and does my will to the end, I will give authority over the nations. That one will rule them with an iron scepter and dash them to pieces like pottery, just as I have received authority from my Father. I will also give that one the morning star. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Notice the Lord's encouragement. He sees their love, their faith, and their service. Thyatira wasn't lazy. In fact, he explicitly notes that they were doing more now than when they first started. By every modern standard, they were leveling up. Then comes the pivot. Nevertheless, with eyes like blazing fire that see through the busy calendar, Yahushua exposes the fatal flaw. The issue wasn't their activity level. The issue was their tolerance. The resurrected Lord measures a church differently than we do. He doesn't grade a congregation on the sheer volume of its production. He evaluates it by the strictness of what it permits. We have to be clear on the pastor's actual failure. He wasn't standing at the pulpit, personally promoting immorality. His crime was passive tolerance. He allowed a woman called Jezebel, someone claiming spiritual authority, to operate unchecked within the house of God. Leadership handed her the microphone. This central node represents the pulpit. Giving her access created a direct conduit to the flock. Tolerating a deceptive voice gives it implicit authority, allowing false ideas to spread rapidly and corrupt God's servants from the inside out. In the realm of spiritual leadership, passivity is a destructive choice. When leadership hands the microphone to the wrong voice, they provide the very platform corruption needs to overtake the entire congregation. False teaching rarely looks evil at first glance. It camouflages itself as something exclusive, a deeper, higher, or more enlightened spiritual knowledge that the average believer just hasn't discovered yet. But Yahushua is blunt. He calls this deception Satan's so-called deep secrets. Just because a message sounds mysterious or spiritual doesn't mean it's holy. Some teachings are only deep because they drag people deeper into bondage. This highlights a common mistake, confusing conflict avoidance with patience. The pastor in Thyatira saw his silence as love, but in reality, he chose his own comfort over the safety of the church. Biblical love must courageously confront spiritual bondage. When a shepherd refuses to protect the flock from a wolf, they have failed the very definition of love. Look at the timeline of divine justice. God doesn't strike the moment a mistake is made. He says he gave Jezebel time to repent. He provides ample space for a change of heart before judgment ever falls. But when that grace is ignored, judgment becomes unavoidable. Yahushua promises a bed of suffering and intense affliction for those who commit spiritual adultery by following these corrupt ways. This sounds severe, but there is profound mercy behind it. This intense temporary suffering is a rescue mission. The Lord uses discipline to shock people out of a lifestyle that would otherwise lead to eternal ruin. Divine correction should never be despised. Often, temporary pain is the only tool capable of preserving a soul from permanent destruction. This leaves us with a specific call to action. The command is not to quietly disagree with corruption while sitting in the pews. The command is to remove the microphone, stop the teaching, and confront the rot. Yahushua connects our present-day courage to a staggering eternal reward. He promises the victorious authority to rule over the nations with an iron scepter. But we have to ask ourselves, how can a leader be trusted to rule nations in the age to come if they are too timid to confront a false voice in the congregation today? What are you tolerating right now to avoid conflict? What are you calling patience that heaven identifies as compromise? What voices have been given influence, even though they lead people away from obedience? Ministry growth does not cancel out unaddressed sin. Service does not replace holiness. Remove the microphone from Jezebel and hold fast to what is pure. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches.